What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Resource Podcast Mentorship Group. On Wednesdays, we go live on YouTube. On the other days, we do it privately in the Facebook group. So today's topic is going to be what is keeping you up when it comes to eBay? So, what's the most pressing thing that you're thinking about? And I wrote this down yesterday because I thought this was interesting. eBay has decided that they are not going to try to acquire more customers. They are trying to increase the number of high paying customers instead. So they're trying to get people who spend more money on the platform instead of more people. So this has really been kind of messing with me because I'm thinking about, should I be getting the higher priced items in my store, and how can I get more higher priced items? And what I've come to the conclusion is I need to increase my buying. So that is my conclusion. So that means what I need to do is um, I need to think about different ways I can sell inventory that doesn't match my criteria. Or I'm thinking more about building lots on eBay that are like 3 size small, 3 size medium. So let's say, for example, somebody's not necessarily a high dollar amount purchaser. Let's say that they buy things that are $10 to $30, the everyday value. But let's say they buy all the time. That's who I'm going to be focusing on. So repeat customer that buys the sort of the regular common stuff, because I'm one of those customers. I buy basic stuff on eBay. Doing a better job with those customers means really focusing. And I have one more thought, then I want to move to the next person, which is they say in real estate, time and market is better than timing the market. So if you just buy a house and wait, it'll be better than trying to figure out when to buy a house. So because over time it'll just appreciate. So that thought to me made me think about, what about the category we pick in? Instead of worrying so much about what category you sell in, maybe just think about, can I be in this category for a while? Because you'll just naturally get better at it. You'll learn all the tips and tricks, um, and you'll run into opportunities. Like yesterday on Tech's late night call, he talked about all these different opportunities that he ran into. I've ran into a few, but I've been doing it less than 10% of the amount of time that he's been doing it on the sourcing end, maybe less than 1% of the amount of sourcing that he's been to. And he talked about, um, running into some situations where there's inventory that um, is in the wrong place. And if you're there, the right place, right time, and you're prepared, it's a good opportunity to come up. That's exactly what an estate sale is when somebody passes. Now there's all this stuff that people have to deal with. So as I look at it, I'm thinking, instead of worrying about what to sell, just think about, can you sell in this market for a while? You will run into opportunities, no question. So Brian, what kind of stuff keeps you up when it comes to eBay?
Good morning. I don't know if anything really keeps me up. I don't know. I just listen to what you're talking about. I think it keeps coming down to this word consistency. Like if you're consistent with your sourcing, you're going to get more reps in. Like we were talking about that on the book club call. Like with habits, it's reps. It's the amount of reps you put in. And look, my model is like yours. I sell a lot of bread and butter, and like I went sourcing yesterday. I went through thousands of items, and I picked up several hundred items, lots of bread and butter. But in there, you're going to find your vintage pieces, your home runs, your gold label stuff. So I think, and if you think back to it, like even eBay, like for a long time I guess they were trying to acquire customers. I don't think they did a very good job of it, to be honest. And now they're switching to repeat buyers and the store model. So, how long are they going to stick with this model? Even that can change. But I think if we're consistent, and I do think that repeat buyer model works. It's working for me. My store, I'm still working on my store, but I'm at like 5,700 items, and daily I get customers that are buying multi-quantity. So if you take advantage of the tools eBay gives you, shipping discounts, all the things we talk about, and you price your items correctly and you build them where they can be found, you're just naturally going to get those repeat buyers. And then kind of going back to your point, if you're out there sourcing consistently, I think you just have to stay consistent. I've noticed for me, like I went from getting listings up Monday through Friday. Now I get listings 7 days a week with the draft bank, and my sales are up. So I just think consistency is the most important thing in all areas.
I agree. That's what I was thinking. How could you stay in that market longer? Like, I just watched that documentary on Arnold Schwarzenegger, and they were asking him, what were the workout programs that you followed when you first started to get to that level? He's like, I have no idea. I just went to the gym every day for 5 hours and we just figured it out. So like in when you're doing the beginning part of reselling, you don't there is no like game plan for, okay, day one, go learn these things. Day two, go learn these things. There's not in the right order. It's not specific. So I would recommend, like, is it convenient for you to stay in that market? Because it's almost like, we're trying to make things that are good for us easier and things that are bad for us harder. How can you make it easier to stay in your category? So I think that's what you're talking about, Brian. Consistency is the answer. It's just difficult to create consistency because there's so many distractions.
Yeah, I think we talk about squirrel brain a lot. There's so many opportunities, and I think one of the pitfalls is like once you've done well in your niche, like you gain a confidence. But and Tex talked about this, like the similarities between listing, like you've shown it on our call, where you could pick something you've never listed before, and you in a relatively short period of time you can create a good listing. And that's because there's confidence because you've done it in a different category, and that confidence could be a dual-edged sword. I think that's what gets me. I'm like, I look at different categories sometimes. I'm like, well, I know I can make that work, and I see other people making it work, but you can't be everywhere at once. Whereas if you just stick in that one area and you keep building that momentum, it's that compounding momentum in returns that is so powerful. And I don't know, it's just stay in the course.
Bill's saying he thinks eBay is making a strategic error by focusing only on the high-end buyer. What do you guys think? You think eBay is making a mistake by looking for the higher end, higher quality customer, or should they just be trying to focus their efforts on getting more customers? Aaron?
So when I was in the corporate world, one of the things that we always said that was easier to sell more to our existing customers than to acquire new customers.
Yep.
And I mean, I tripled and quadrupled businesses in a short amount of time following that strategy. So, and if you think about it, with the repeat buyers and the coupons and stuff, that's sort of what we're trying to do with our stores too.
Yep.
Is can you sell more to the people who have already bought from you? So I don't think it's a mistake, but I do think they have to continue to attract new buyers, because there will be another platform that comes up that starts to eat their lunch if we don't.
Absolutely. So Matt is saying that what keeps him up at night is the future of where eBay is headed. Well, eBay's advertising budget is normally 1 billion and they're doubling it to 2 billion. So that's a lot of money. So, and I'll give you guys a secret thing that, so I hired an agent to find me sponsors for my YouTube video in the next 3 months. And I said, can you find out where that money is going with eBay? And he said, TikTok. If eBay spends $1 billion extra advertising on TikTok, it will become cool. So I don't know what they're doing behind the scenes, but eBay has not been cool for a long time, like more than 10 years. eBay has been only bread and butter and vintage collectibles. Like when you think eBay, you think someone in their garage running a store, over 50, been doing it for 20 years, and they work sometimes. That's what I think. Like there's people who work full-time, people who work part-time, and people who work sometime. That's who I think of when I think of an eBay seller. But if eBay spends $1 billion on advertising and eBay becomes a 13-year-old who selling his parents stuff, and he bought a Mercedes because his parents have so much stuff. If that became what people thought an eBay seller was, it would be totally different. So I wonder what would happen, Vlad.
Um, I think it's a really good move because we use ShipStation to fulfill our orders.
Yep.
And one of the features of it is they have an insight kind of like software feature that you can see where most of your business came from, including location and then the customer. And what we've noticed in our business is most of our repeat customers generate like the top 10% of our sales
Yep.
for specific like categories and items because they would just come back and know they're going to get the same quality every time and they're going to get a great deal if they just keep coming back. And so if they're going to focus on those customers, theoretically they should buy more and possibly increase the revenues even more. So that should be interesting to see what happens.
I just want to give a plug for our group real quick and show you guys something that Tech and I are working on. So we're working on an advanced eBay section. I know that Bill had asked about this before. So we sort of were thinking about what are the most advanced parts of eBay. So one is the listing quality. We recorded that one already. Dedicated photography setup, date-based inventory system, understanding how eBay traffic works, impressions, clicks, and conversion, understanding your eBay seller metrics, how to find profitable items locally. And Tech has a January 5th call on this, but we're going to redo it together. And then the promotions overview, offer to watcher, coupons, pricing strategy. Let's see. Sorry. So essentially what we're going to do is make these 7 videos for everyone the next month. And we've already done one. And then that'll be like the cliff notes of thousands of hours of content. This will be like how you do eBay. So we're working on this resource and we're going to make it all into one area so you can just go through. And this is more for, I would say these are people who want to have 10 sales a day or more. You can have 1,000 sales a day, but this is different than 0 to 10. So we added the beginner call with Isaiah. And so we have that in the morning. So if you're selling less than 10 items a day, you can hop into beginner call, or just like the reboot call, get in there and then you start building it up. You're up to 10, but over 10, it's a little bit different. So we're just going to separate that out and give that resource. Also, after we come out with this guide next month, it will only be available for annual people. So all the people that are in the group now, you will get it. And then after that, only annual people will get that super duper advanced eBay series of 7. Okay. Let's see. Martha says, all I've heard is problems with high-end product being kept by buyer and scamming the seller. That's really just YouTubers making clickbait titles. It's not that common. So if 2 YouTubers make a video about it, then people think that everybody's having that problem, but there's very, very little fraud on eBay. Castleman Blogs is saying, I think eBay's making a mistake. They think of eBay and think of a website to get a good deal. That's the problem. So I think if eBay spends $1 billion on kids making eBay cool and selling rare things, that will change. That's my opinion, because you know what marketing did? They made wearing used things and buying used things cool. That was not cool. In my parents' generation, it wasn't as cool as it is now. Now you have kids that are teenagers. They only wear things that are 20 years old. They only have things that are 20 years old. It's massive. The secondhand market is made cool by younger people. So I think that they could change the face of eBay if they make
That's what
kids talk about it.
That's kind of what I was thinking from the aspect of eBay is old, just like the items. And if they could get the coolness, like this 20-year-old shirt's cool, but what about this old website that's been out selling this stuff? Like,
Yeah,
try to make that cool, like the items. It's like, and it's going to bring some sellers as well, but they're not going to hang around. But the buyers will linger. I feel like if they get hooked,
absolutely. Jonathan? Or John.
That's cool. My first name is Jonathan, but there you go. Um, it's also going to bring a new host of quality control if you bring in more customers. And I don't know if everyone is prepared for that because there's going to be a better or higher bar of expectation on what they're going to receive. So I think it's going to nudge some people out that are doing it currently because they're going to, I didn't sign up for this. And they didn't at the time.
Absolutely. And I think Mike is saying right now in the chat that it's interesting to learn that eBay has basically shown that the buyer will always get a return and their money back. Absolutely. So I think the sooner people out there accept that a buyer can return an item for any reason, then you can move on with your day and stop worrying so much about something that you can't control. That is the eBay policy. They have an A to Z return policy. For any reason, they can return their item, even if you have no returns. That's not bad. That means they'll get the most buyers. Buyers like that. I don't want to buy something on Poshmark and I ordered a True Religion pair of jeans and I got a potato and I can't return it. Like, that's not a good buying experience. On eBay, though, anything, I could not like the way the packaging looks and figure out some way to return the item. And that's okay, because then you'll keep buying on eBay. That's the whole point of this conversation, that to keep people on eBay. Also, do not give people their money back and let them keep the item. Make them send it back. Because if you let them keep the money and the item, then you're training people that they can just steal items from sellers. So don't do that. I'm in that camp that I am following the tech and sports lead, and I will just eat all of those return shipping costs. I don't want them to keep it. So even if it's a partial refund that makes more sense to just give them a partial refund and return it, I'm just going to take it back.
Chris, Chris, just wanted to say that's not true about Poshmark. They do returns for anything item not described.
Yeah, that's
so
true. That's true.
You can definitely do customer support for that.
For potato, you could. I'm just saying, like, having to reposh it is a horrible experience for me. I don't want to reposh it if I don't like it.
I agree about that.
Yeah, my wife doesn't shop on Poshmark because of that. She's like, the photos are generally average, so she doesn't know exactly what it's going to look like or how it's going to fit. And she's like, then I'll just shop somewhere else.
Can you briefly describe when you would give a full refund versus one where shipping is not included?
Yes. So if it's buyer's remorse, I won't refund the shipping. So if they didn't like it, change their mind, I won't refund the shipping. But doesn't fit, I usually refund the shipping because they'll buy something else. Corey is saying there's a ton of fraud on eBay. So this is subjective because of the size of eBay, you could say there's a ton of fraud. Percentage wise, I don't have the evidence to prove this, but I would say that the level of fraud on eBay rounds to zero. Just based on my own personal experience, there is fraud, but like, I have fraud, I wouldn't say regularly, but annually I have fraud, but it's not significant in my store. Let's see.
I was gonna ask, man. I mean, maybe it's just because I'm a reseller, and I get that some people are just starting or just weary about trying it out. But like, if I see somebody that doesn't have free returns, I just like, I know I've met those people, and maybe that's why I say maybe it's because I'm a reseller, and a lot of those people. Like, I know Sally was just having trouble. I know she's not like hard-headed or anything like that, or but it's like I've talked to some of those people who are like, I'm not doing free return. You're crazy. They just have a bad attitude.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not like, not to go off Thomas's vibe. He's not here to talk about the vibe scale, but like, I just get a bad vibe from that buyer just when I see that they don't have that. Because maybe it's because I've met some of those sellers, and they're just like hard-headed sellers. They're just like, I don't know. They just seem to be closed-minded, and not look from a business aspect at all. They're way too personal with it. Yeah. But does everybody else kind of get that vibe when you see that? You're just like, it's not just and there's also the side too, is like, is there something wrong with it? They're afraid, they're thinking already they're going to get it back. But I look at it from the other side as well. And maybe it's just because I've met that individual. possibly.
Yeah, I could provide some insight on that. When we first started, we had a lot of stuff that we didn't have returns accepted. And it was because it was so big, we didn't understand the system and how it worked, with free returns. So in our mind, we didn't want to pay for return shipping. So we just figured no returns. If somebody said something was wrong with it, then we would just refund their money because we didn't want to pay for it. We didn't understand the benefit of having free returns. So that was kind of the only reason we actually had it that way. We've switched to seller paying returns on some items, but I feel like we got to change that too, even.
Right. Well, which I will say, I should have led with that. I do understand as well. I was talking about newer sellers. That makes a little bit more sense. But you also have items. As a buyer, if I see like I don't get a free return on my exhaust muffler kit, I understand that,
Chris, how about when you're talking about returns in the business policy, do you have again a brief international returns policy when you're well, if you have alternatives and so on?
So there's another question relating to that came up earlier, which was, do I recommend international shipping for beginners or people who are just starting? So I recommend the global shipping program for most people. And I personally do not accept international returns, but you can. It depends on what you're selling, how heavy it is, and like international selling, I would recommend no returns global shipping program. If you want to ship directly to the customer, that's fine. You can save quite a bit of money using something like Pirate Ship or a postage aggregator. So you can, ship it all to one place and they ship that whole container to that country. It's like way cheaper. But then you deal with having to deal with items stuck in customs or the tax not being collected or remitted properly when it hits the country. There's more work with it. Depends on your volume, but I don't. Internationally, I would say don't offer returns if you can. Colin?
Yeah, you still have to protect yourself on the returns. Like in the sports cards, what's happened? They've changed their return policy to 14 days to still get the discount.
Yep.
Instead of 30, because a lot of guys were buying. This is before the pandemic, I guess. They would be buying cards and then they would do an express ship to PSA and wait to find out what the grade is. And if it didn't come back what they wanted, they just return the card. So selling graded cards, I don't offer any returns on because it's a third party system. So it's, if you're buying a PSA 8 card that has a certain value, there's no reason to return it.
Here we go. So I have the absolute 100% best return policy. You guys ready? Offer the best returns you can afford. Okay. So the gentleman in the chat, Mike, says if there's free returns, it doesn't stop buyers from still doing returns on eBay siding with them. So this person, Mike's really afraid of it. Maybe he only sells 10 items a year. So one return is 10% of his sales. I have returns every single day and it doesn't matter because like on average, I never sell less than 100 items a day. And I have like 1 or 2 returns a day. It doesn't matter. Even if they're both fraudulent, which they're not, it's not a significant amount. So I can afford to offer free returns. And I think if you're selling 1 to 5 items a day, you can also afford free returns. That's my opinion. Because you might go from 1 to 5 sales a day to 2 to 7 sales a day. And that couple of extra sales pays for that return. And also, somebody in the chat had asked, can I deduct the return shipping fees for taxes? Of course. When you get a return, that gets deducted from taxable income. So if you have $100 in sales and $10 is fraudulent returns, the IRS only has you on the hook for $90 of revenue. You deduct it from that. And if there's return shipping on top of that, that gets subtracted too. So you have to look at the overall picture. If there's somebody in the chat saying they sell cell phones and fraud is not significant, like that's an expensive item. You might have a $200 ASP if you sell cell phones. So if a person that's selling cell phones and loses $200 per sale, can afford returns, so can you. So my friend Prince, when he was selling cameras, his average return cost him $300. He still had free returns. And that's a $300 kick in the nuts. And what people would do is they would buy a GoPro, they would get it from him. They would either switch it out with their broken GoPro, they would send him back something different. All kinds of things would happen. Still not significant. Like I think one day he got like 6 or 7 of those in one day, and he was fine. That's like $2,000 in returns, and he was completely fine because at that level where you're getting 6 or 7 returns, you're probably selling 100 or 200 items, so you can afford it.
Chris,
Go
I'm
ahead.
sorry. One more, just for a point of clarification. And I'm going to use a small example. If someone purchases something for $20 and they pay $8 for shipping,
Yeah.
paid by the buyer,
Mm-hmm.
they return the item.
Yep.
The seller pays the $8. The seller pays the $8 return shipping label.
Yep.
And then refunds the $8 as well.
Yep.
Is that what you're? So
you
and-
you lose 2 shipping costs.
Interesting. Thank you very much.
Yep. So somebody's asking, all the calls that we have are recorded. So this is the schedule. It's kind of hard. Let me see if I can blow this up. So we have this call every morning, and I've changed it to the different time zones because there's people in the UK, there's people who listen to it at night. All these calls are recorded. So we've got tax help or photo help on Thursdays at 10 a.m. Pacific. We've got a shoe call, a toy call, a clothing call, a jewelry call. We record the podcast on Wednesdays. We have higher level coaching after that on Wednesdays. Tech does a ridiculously long call. It's like 5 hours long on Tuesday. Book club with Brian, media call with Jared, Amazon with Jack. And this week there is a card call. There's a guy at the Mint Collective that's going to do. There's a guy doing like $80,000 a month or something that's going to do the call on Friday. So I'm going to listen to him. Also, somebody gave me a card seller to look at. Let me get it real quick. I think it's fascinating. So I forgot what the username was, but somebody sent me a card seller that does $1 million a month. So I'm going to look at their. I'm curious. I have actually never seen that before. I've never seen somebody screenshot where they averaged $1 million a month. I've seen $1 million over the 90-day, but I've never seen the 3.5 million 90-day total on the eBay app before. So I will find that person, have them give a call on it too, because it's interesting. There's some people who can't get any sales and people who have $1 million a month in sales. So I think it's important to do that. So Sandy says she would never sell electronics on eBay. She learned that lesson. There's not that many scam. I mean, there are scammers in that category, but electronics is one of the highest grossing categories on eBay. It's one of the best categories. So if you only sold electronics, you would be fine. But maybe the lesson for that is don't casually sell electronics or anything. Jay's saying, what time is the card call? 2 p.m. Pacific Standard Time.
Well, the electronics are like anything. It's like there's huge. Like I had an uncle pass away not too long ago, and I'm selling some of his music equipment just because I've got the out, and I've got
Right.
a little box. I got a list for $1,000. I did have to test it and stuff. Luckily, I had some equipment that I could like test it. I got some knowledge in it, but it's like it's a lot of work up front. It's like it always balances out in the end. If that's what you're doing, you can store all that and you know how to test it. It's going to take you more time, but yeah, you're just going to get more return. If that's I was going to say about the shipping real quick. You made me think about it because you were just talking about times in the UK.
Mm-hmm.
I can't remember her name, but Isaiah and Michelle were kind of helping somebody in the chat the other day that doesn't do free returns. She's in the UK, so metrics might be a little different, but she just started running. Does somebody speak up? She might be in the chat possibly. But I was saying, after she runs those, that might be some good metrics to go off of if she wanted to share those. She does car parts in the UK, and she's going to be one of the only people really even offering free shipping. It's not really that popular there. So Isaiah and Michelle were helping her just kind of set up some policies for free returns. So here in a month or so, that might be something good to look at and really see how that really affects it.
I want to point something out because Kent has a really, really good point. It depends on profit margin. So let me give you an example. I have a friend that sells electronics. He has 40% returns. Okay. Can you imagine that? You sell 10 items, 4 of them get returned. Not all of them are fraudulent, but maybe some are. So his profit margin is like something like, I think he averages $100 profit per item, and his buy cost is like $6. Okay. So someone in the chat is also saying, sometimes it's better to have no returns and just give them a partial refund. I don't agree. I think you should have free returns. If it's something like a vintage electronics and they want a partial refund because they say there's a ding on it and that wasn't described or something, I would still get the item back and not train the seller to do that. I know it's expensive, but that's the game that you play in that scenario. So my friend that has 40% returns is still really, 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 really profitable. He builds it into the cost. He knows that 40% of it's going to get returned. So he has enough profit margin to absorb that. And I don't think anyone listening right now has a 40%. That's the highest I've ever seen. He's in the like highest category where people return things that were broken. So I don't want to say grow a pair, but if you're going to be in that category, you might have to. If you're going to sell vintage electronics, be prepared for fraudulent returns. Just, if you're selling used clothing, probably only going to get returns for fit. It's not going to be other reason. So Josh is saying sports card investor on YouTube is eBay's sponsored card guy. He does $1 million a month in volume. So when I looked at the how that guy gets cards, because there's two people. There's tons of people. Let me back up. There's tons of people that make $1 million a month in cards doing consignment. That's like apparently very common. But the guy I saw on Instagram did not do consignment. He was buying collections straight out and then listing it and doing $1 million a month. And he said he pays 80%. And I'm like, wow, that is crazy. So on $1 million a month in sales, he's paying 800 grand for the stuff. So that's something, because obviously there's going to be some fraudulent returns when you're at that level. It's just crazy. People who don't worry about returns when it's such a small amount of your sales. Where are the recorded calls stored? All the recorded calls are stored on YouTube, and then the links are inside the Patreon to go to it. So, Vlad, do you have another comment?
I
Maybe
do,
not.
if he doesn't.
Go ahead, Josie.
Well, most of us do get our merchandise for pennies on the dollar. So even if we get a $200 return, we're not out $200.
That's right.
We're out
That's
our
right.
original investment.
That's right.
Because I do art, and a lot of that goes for $300, $400, $500.
Yep.
And I've only had one issue. It actually only cost me out of pocket $20 in shipping and $1 I spent.
Yeah, exactly. And you also had other items that you made profit on.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So let me ask you, because in the art game, do you feel like you have to do a certain amount of volume to, let's see, how do you sell art? Do you have to have a certain amount of art so you can get certain amounts to sell, or is that your main niche?
No, you have to know your art.
Okay.
You have to know the type it is, things about the artist, because unlike other forms of items like clothing, where you just have to put the details, they want a story with art. They want to know the provenance.
The reason why I ask is I have a sponsor video that I'm going to be making shortly, and I'll make a video about it. But essentially, they're an art company, and they're saying that all the money in art is in the best artists. So like the people who are the like all the most money made in the art category is all the masterworks. Like of course you can make $300 to $3,000 in the finding something in a garage sale for 10 and sell for 7,000. But like the massive money where someone buys something for $1 million, sells it for 80 is in the super high end. And I'm just thinking, like,
That's
I don't have any of that in my brain. Go ahead.
that's where the most of the fraud actually comes in, is because a lot of
Yeah.
the monsters that are being sold aren't legitimate.
Yeah, that's true.
They're copies, or it was a rumor that a painting existed, but nobody actually saw it. So someone comes and says it is. But
Yeah,
and
because
because
this
it is
is
actually easy to fake.
I agree. So it's like the Mona Lisa is only so famous because it's been stolen or counterfeited so many times over the years that um there's been that issue. I guess the reason why this thing blows my mind is there's card sellers that only sell Michael Jordan. Most people know who Michael Jordan is, right? It's ubiquitous. So let's say you only resell Michael Jordan. Let's say you only resell Nike. That's a There's hundreds of thousands of resellers that sell a little Nike each year. And there's a few, probably 10,000 plus resellers who only sell Nike. There's also people who only sell Nike clothing, and they only sell Nike shoes, only Nike women's running shoes, only Nike hype beast shoes, only Jordans. It's so interesting. So I just wonder, as we all focus in and pick our categories, do we pick you're a rare art historian and you only sell 2 pieces a year? Or do you pick, Bill brought this point up where there's not a single luxury retailer in the top 100, meaning all the people that make money are Amazon, Kroger, Home Depot, Costco, Walgreens, CVS, Target, Lowe's. These companies are not making a lot of money. There's no Rembrandt at Home Depot, right? It's all basic stuff. So
Yeah.
does that mean we should all do that? And my thought is just, sure, but you just have to do more volume. Like they can make $1 an item, we can't.
But you're also going to lose more money by holding on to things until it sells or if it sells.
Yeah, it's true.
I just inherited an entire estate from an artist,
I see.
and I'm still selling other people's works too.
Mm,
I'm just bringing out a piece now and again.
yeah, that's true.
And that's what you have to do. You can't, if you like in the art world, if you stay with just one artist or one designer or even one exact form, like just glacis or just oil, you're not going to get the sales. Walk into any gallery, you're going to see at least 10 different forms of art.
Yeah, that's true. Somebody had posted in the group, what do you set your promoted listings rate at? So okay, I have seen as high as 50% for promoted listings. And I'll tell you what category. Stickers. Okay. So sorry to call out Sticker Joe, but like if when the election comes around again, if you want to sell a sticker, you might have to go 50% promotion because it'll be so competitive when whoever's running for president next time, whoever the candidates are, those stickers will be very popular, right? You probably will, but it's going to be very hard to sell them. Everyone's going to try to do that. So if you're making stickers, like you order them right now for 2024 and you get them for 1 penny a piece, but you're planning on selling them for $8 when that comes around, you can pay $4 in promoted listings and still kill it if you get the sale and you don't get charged until they actually buy something. So that's very different than Colin is selling a $1,000 card he paid $800 for. He might be promoting at 1% because it's like so tight on the margin because he's got to build in potential fraud in that $200 margin. Like every week I get an email of somebody who videotaped packaging the item, sending it to the customer, and then there was fraud, and it's just, I hope you sell enough items that you can absorb that. That's all I can say. Kim says time management keeps her up. I would say that is Very, very true. Kim, thank you for bringing that up because there's so much stuff going on in everybody else's life. So it can be difficult trying to fit it all in. Family, your health, your relationships, trying to learn how to do eBay, which is very difficult and only going to get more difficult because what Jonathan said is right. The bar is going to be higher and higher and higher because that's just how it is. As the bar increases, it becomes harder to do it as things become more mature. eBay is very mature, so it's more difficult in the beginning. So Mike is trying to understand why free returns is better. Okay, I'll give you a couple of reasons. One, you get the option to refund only 50% to the customer in case there is some fraud. So you do get some protection. And in my case, every time I've gotten a really egregious return, eBay has always given me all of my money back. So I've always gotten all the money back anyway, even if there is fraud, because I'm offering 100% free returns and doing the best that I can. eBay wants to promote those sellers. I think only less than 10% of sellers on eBay offer free returns, even though it's, in my opinion, better because you get to have the partial refund protection. You can't get a negative feedback, and more people will buy from you because they believe in your product more. So the confidence is higher. So
I did want to say, I think it's also a great counter block for if you charge shipping. I just think it's like, because some people are turned off by that. I don't think it matters. I charge for shipping, but I think it's a good counter. It's like, yeah, I pay for shipping, but it's free return. I don't know. It's just that next level of, just anything that helps.
So let me give you an example also on, because Isaiah brought up the 10% final value fee savings. So let's say you do $30,000 a month in sales. So your final value fees, let's just round up and say it's $4,000. You get a $400 discount in final value fees if you offer free returns. And if you sell $30,000 worth of stuff, you will not, unless you sell something really, really high in fraud, you will not have $400 in returns. Like in fraudulent returns, that's really unlikely unless you sell, gray market iPhones. That's not normal to have that many returns. So the $400 discount should easily pay for it. Let's see. Mark is asking, is the 2.6 conversion rate bad? For some people, it's horrible. And for some people, it's very good. Depends on what you're selling. So Grace wants to talk about buying bulk or having items come to you. I haven't figured that out yet. I have not been able to get items to come to me. I still have to go get them, unfortunately. I think it comes with how much you can buy. I think that's the key. If you become known in your area as someone that can buy it all, then it will start coming to you. Sam?
I have a question about the one business day handling time. Does eBay count Saturday and Sunday as a business day?
No.
Okay, so if there's something sells on Friday and I have one business day, I can wait till Monday to ship it.
Yes, if it sells Monday morning at 12:01 a.m., you still have till midnight on Monday to ship it and not get dinged.
Okay.
Yeah.
Awesome, thank you.
Yeah. How do you spot accounts that are trying to do fraudulent returns? You can't. Just sell a few more items. Why can't you just sell a few more items? Is that not a thing? Can you just sell a few more items so you can afford a couple of returns? Instead of selling one item a month, just sell 3 items a month.
Don't you think there's an equation that you can kind of, if your ASP is between $20 and $30 that and you have free returns, that you can figure maybe for every 50 sales, you can afford to have one. And like Tech said, that was the one that really changed me. You and Tech early on were saying, just get the item back, resell it, and move on.
It's easier when you don't worry. Is that a weird thing to say?
No, exactly. That was exactly, it like freed my mind up going, oh,
yeah.
This is what Amazon does. they don't care. They just, okay, send it back. We'll sell a billion other ones.
So, okay, there's that book that's called, is it Stop Worrying, Start Living? That book is awesome. How can you like, it's very, very hard to worry and live at the same time. Just got to move forward. Let's see. You shouldn't. Brian is saying it's fear-based mentality. Yeah, it's like Mike says, avoid selling to dealers. It's too hard to do that. I would say, I would not. I would say that there's such a huge amount of my sales come from dealers that I can't turn them off. That would be like me saying, sorry, no resellers can shop at my store. That's totally ridiculous, because that's what you're doing, Mike. You are reselling somebody else's stuff. It would be the same as them telling you they don't want your business because you're a dealer. Everyone that's listening right now is a dealer, right? You get something, you are a store, you deal professionally. So you are just unincluding yourself. Let's see, I think it was Dale Carnegie. Who wrote that? Yeah, Dale Carnegie. It's a great book. I'll link it for everyone. It's got a lot of 14,000 reviews. I think it would be higher than that.
Where you're saying, you're telling him, hey, you're a dealer too. That's something I've had to sort of realize starting out in this is the mindset has to change. The way you view this stuff, worrying about the little things, not seeing the bigger picture. Like I had to do all that. I was paranoid about people ripping us off in the beginning and all that. And the more you think about it, those returns just fall into the aggregate. You're not losing money in the long run. The benefit outweighs it, and it's all mindset to me. I had
absolutely.
to really change my perspective.
So I think, let's see. So Mike is saying most of my items are not time sensitive or newly released items. I agree with that. Let's say that you can choose what category you sell in, right? If you sell time sensitive items that have to, like, for example, let's say you are a Christmas toy seller. That's very dangerous because people could give it to their kid and they don't like it and they return it on January 10th and you're still on the hook, right? You could order Hatchimals and sell that. People could hatch the animal with their kid and their kid doesn't like it and they return it back and say, unsatisfactory hatching experience. My kid was not happy, so you have to eat it. I have a cat toy. I got negative feedback for a cat toy because the cat didn't like it. I had to eat the return, and the feedback said cat didn't like the toy. It got removed, but that's part of it. So here's the thing. This is why some of my workers don't want to sell on eBay, because they don't want to deal with the headache. When you work for somebody, the owner deals with the headache, not you. So Desmond is saying, can you do this without a car? Yes. So you can either order all of your stuff online, it comes in and you resell it, or you can figure out public transportation. There's tons of ways to do it if you're resourceful. Tom the English Picker is asking about media on eBay or Amazon. I think it's related. We have like one of the largest media sellers in the world on that call. So he's primarily an Amazon seller. So if you are an Amazon seller, I would come to the Thursday call and the Friday call, because Thursday is the media call and most of them sell on eBay and Amazon, or only Amazon. And then Friday, Jack runs the call and he's a 7-figure Amazon guy. And he also sells on eBay for fun, or his super high end stuff that doesn't do well on Amazon. Let's see. Thank you, Paul. Let's see. You can, this is true. Ashley is saying you can also bike or walk to thrift stores. So if you guys remember back in the day, my photographer was named James. Excellent thrifter, no car. He just carried one of those IKEA bags and filled it up, public transportation, and that's it. Yep. So okay, Boog is saying a lot of people get burned by one bad sale and quit eBay. It's the exact same thing for a buyer. So Tech had some statistic like if a buyer gets a negative feedback, they sometimes never come back to eBay. Like they had a bad experience as a buyer. So, but I mean, tons of people are like that. One time I had spicy wings and it was too spicy and it hurt me, and now I don't eat spicy food. Or like one time I went on a date and she said I was ugly, so now I don't date anymore. That happens. People have one bad experience and then they write off the whole thing. So it's just that's not the proper way to do it. You can't judge with such a small sample size. We're doing the training call this week. It's going to be Friday at 2 p.m. The guy's going to do it he's at the Mint Collective conference in Vegas. So I'm curious to see what that is. And I figured out what my itch is with the cards, because for some reason what I want to do is I want to do a card break for fun because I think it's cool. I have no interest in selling cards. I just want to break a set for fun because I think it looks cool. After looking at the math, it's totally something you could do for a living, but you have to do a lot of it because if you overcharge the people to do it, then they don't want to break with you. 2 p.m. Pacific on Friday. Christine's worried about time management, family, health, homeschooling. Yep. I would say you need a very strict schedule. And at some point, Mandy in our group, she actually switched from homeschooling to public school because her business was so busy. But that's a personal preference. You can do that's a lot to juggle. So I'm trying to say. Christina Myers tried eBay 15 years ago, got a bad return, and quit. That's probably really common. Jackie's asking if we have a sourcing guide. We just have the sourcing guide on how to find things locally. Yeah. 2 p.m. Pacific, 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Friday. Michael's trying to sell some wholesale Pokemon. So inside the group, we don't, what is that called? We don't sponsor any of the people who are posting lots. So buy at your own discretion and try not to post lots because it's not a buy sell group. You can network with people and figure out how to buy and sell, but just be careful. We can't endorse anyone because we can't verify anybody's lots. I don't know when I'm going to do the break. The first time I wanted to do a break was in, what was it? In 2019, I bought some cards. Allen Ginter, what is that brand? Whatever that baseball card brand. I bought it because I wanted to try doing a break, and I forgot about those cards for 2 years, and they like tripled in value, which is awesome. So I realized maybe instead of breaking, I should just buy and hold because I would have made more money. I made more money not doing it, not even opening it. Yeah. So Jackie, we hold these live streams every day, Monday through Friday. And the call is actually 24 hours long, except for I'm only in it about 8 hours a week, 5 hours in the morning or Monday through Friday. And then I hop in some of the other calls if I have time. If we change to the annual level, no, if you guys switch from monthly to annual, it doesn't matter. It will prorate you. But all the people who are in the all the people who are in the Patreon this month and next month will get access to the super high level just for supporting us to get to this point. It took like a while for us to get all of the best ideas together to make that advanced series. So after that, only the annual people will get that. They'll get everything else except for the golden tablets of reselling that you guys hear about as we made them this year. The coaching call for $99 level is today. So it's the fourth and second Wednesday of the month. And this is the fourth Wednesday, I believe. Let me just double check. Yep. This month has 5 Wednesdays. So you guys get an extra podcast this month as well. You actually get 2 extra podcasts this month because we record an extra one for you guys on the 3rd week. Let's see. So we're actually going to get ready for our beginner call. We just added that as well. And that starts after this call, Monday through Friday. So if you are, I wouldn't say beginner, but if you have less than 10 sales a day, that's a reboot situation, because at 10 sales a day, maybe you don't worry about returns anymore because you can kind of afford it. What do you think, Isaiah?
I mean, when my wife started on eBay, Tick's immediate advice to her was to do free returns immediately, and she had 0 sales at the time. So I just think free returns is a better buyer experience overall. And then once you become top rated, you get a ton of benefits from having free returns. Like, a beautiful exercise anybody can do is go to the search bar, type in an item that you sell all the time, and then filter by free returns and watch how many disappear. It's crazy. Like, you're gonna, like, 80% of the items are just gonna go poof immediately. So
Yeah, I thought it was funny. I was picturing like those people that get mad, they get a return or two because somebody's just not happy with the item and they quit. And then, within the week, they're standing in Walmart return line to take something back. Like, the irony is, if not taking back some of their materials they started the reselling business with or something. I mean, it's just ridiculous. Yeah.
if you're afraid to do free returns, what it ultimately says is that you don't believe in your product enough. And if you don't believe in your products, you need to do better.
So Ashley is new, and she said she said that she started with free returns and she hasn't had any so far. And Grace said that she was scared, but it just makes sense, and her sales went up. So that's all there. So I'm gonna hop off. We're gonna get on to Isaiah's call. Thank you, everybody.